Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Veteran Spotlight. It's me again, Danny.
And I'm Rob.
And I'm Jordan.
And like I said, we're here with another veteran. So, Jordan, if you want to go ahead and, talk a little bit about your military career. What branch were you in?
I was Army.
Okay, awesome. When did you join?
I enlisted in the Army National Guard in 2009. I was a junior in high school and was considered a split op. That's where I went to basic in between my junior and senior of high school, and then went to A school after I graduated high school.
Wow, that's pretty exciting. Going from being in high school and worrying about homework and sports and stuff, and then basically going and being an adult and be treated, as one in the Army, like in basic. That's pretty intense.
Yeah, it was unique.
Now, how did that change between you being a junior and a senior? Like your attitude or your grades, or how did that?
Well, I was kind of always an advanced student. I was taking 8 credits every semester, going through doing all these classes. And the only thing that kind of changed was a little bit more of, I was a little bit less timid. I was a little more brazen. I didn't give.
You can swear.
That's okay.
I didn't give
podcast.
I didn't give a shit for a lot of stuff. I got pulled into the principal's office for challenging a teacher when they wouldn't let us say the Pledge of Allegiance. And I was like, no, I'm going to say this. I'm an adult. I'm going to do this. Got sent to the principal's office, and he starts, oh, Jordan, you need to... And I stopped him like, I could have graduated last year. I chose to do my senior year of high school because I'm split up. I've already got the credits. I've already been to basic training. I'm going to go to A school. So are we done?
Yeah.
And it went from there.
It's crazy. And this was in 2009?
Yes.
Where'd you go, or what state did you go to high school in?
I went to high school in Idaho. I grew up in Weezer.
So that's surprising to me.
It was a very, she was a very opinionated teacher. She was known for being very anti-hunting, anti a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So she was well known for this.
Now, were you active or you reserve?
I was guard.
Oh, guard. Okay.
So it's that kind of weird. Yes, it was a reserve, but we're different from the reserves in that way.
Yeah.
Right.
A little bit of both.
Still on call and all
Yep.
that fun stuff is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
makes
then
sense.
right after AIT, I came back to Idaho and was told, "Hey, go to Primo. You're deploying." Okay.
Alright. Yeah. So where'd you deploy to?
I deployed to Iraq in 2010 as Operation New Dawn.
Okay. Awesome. Where'd you travel in Iraq?
So we landed in Balad, and from Balad we were tasked out to different teams.
Yeah.
I was attached to the Combined Joint Special Operations Task Force, or even Peninsula, and for the first 6 months of our deployment we were attached to the 10th group, and then the last 6 months we were attached to 5th group.
Okay. What was your MOS, by the way? I think we lost right over.
My actual MOS that I went to school for was 92 Fox, Petroleum Supply Specialist.
Oh, okay.
But the way that we were doing overseas was all fuel operations are contracted. So being part of the Siege of AP, they're like, you're just a base
Whatever.
defense operations center for these SF guys.
Yeah. It was the same thing when I went to Iraq. I was food service, so it was like we hire TCNs,
Yep.
third country nationals,
Yeah.
for those who don't know. So they only needed a few cooks to actually be there at like most bases, and all they would do was just stand there with their rifle and watch the people cook, make sure they weren't poisoning the troops.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's boring. I volunteer for anything else. And then I went to Ramadi. And then when I got there, I was like, I should have stayed where I was.
Mostly for me, I was in Taji, and we had a actual contractor that oversaw the third country nationals, and we were just the base defense for the team. And then when they were going on missions, they'd be like, "Hey, 3 of you, you're drivers and gunners for us."
Yeah. You'd be surprised on what you get trained to do, and then when it comes down to like unit necessity. I mean, you'll be doing. I worked at a class 1 lot. I worked with pit teams. I worked with mid teams. I did security. I did. We had this people. I talked about it in one of the other podcasts called the Blue Man Group.
Yep.
And I basically walked them around while they put up HESCO barriers and stuff. Like if your job is not specific to where they can't get contractors to do it, then you're just doing whatever the needs of the unit is.
Yeah. Well, it's just like they train us from day one. Is you are a rifleman first and foremost. So we will have you doing whatever we need you to do.
said the Marine Corps, right? Not the
No,
Army.
he's in the Army.
The
Yeah, right,
Army.
right, exactly.
That's the first Army guy I heard,
Right,
use
so
that
everybody's
phrase.
a rifleman, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long did you deploy for in Iraq?
1 year. And I tried to do deployments after that, but
God,
according to the
1
state of
year.
Idaho, I was a mission critical MOS and couldn't deploy again until the next.
Swordsman too, for
Yeah.
a year?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, dang, man. Yeah, I think twice my two-year-long deployments was enough.
And I wanted to go again. I wanted to have just all the time away because one, I was a 19-year-old, wanted to just be like, let's do this.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience to be over for a year and then come back and then have to reintegrate into civilian life, doing college, full-time job, all that.
Okay, awesome, man.
Yeah.
Is that the only deployment? So what'd you
Yes,
do?
that was my only deployment. When I came back, I was attached to Delta Company 145th Forward Support Company out of the 2nd 116th. Started doing fuel operations for everything. It was a monthly drill, was AT, we were out doing it. I signed up for every shit detail of, hey, I'll go do this recruitment thing, I'll go do the spur ride and be an Indian to take care of the shaved tails, and still didn't get anywhere.
Nice.
I think a lot of people they either don't volunteer for anything and they never do, they just do their job and then collect a paycheck and then either sit in their barracks room or go out or do whatever their thing is. Or you have those people who are like, I want to do everything. I want to experience, even if it's shitty, I want to experience volunteering to, pulpits,
Yeah.
or volunteering at the armory,
These all suck, by the way.
or volunteering for field ops.
Yep.
Sometimes though, those volunteering is actually not bad. Like I remember volunteering one time and I ended up being a Humvee driver.
Yeah.
They sent me to Humvee school right off the bat.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what the heck? Where did this come from? They just ask you, hey, who has a valid license? And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I got
Well,
one."
that and also if you're that person that's seen by the commanders, seen by all the higher ups to where they're like, hey, this guy's putting in the effort, next, FTX training, they're like, hey, do you want to be op for? I don't have to do anything, I just get to, shoot at my guys? Yeah.
I never had that
So,
opportunity.
well, Op 4 is fine. I've done it in a bunch
Yeah.
of different units, but yeah, so that stands for opposing forces. So you can actually get to shoot back, kind of like Heartbreak Ridge. You actually have the people shooting at them with blanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Opposing forces.
I kind of did something like that once. I volunteered to do workups for the 11th MEU.
Oh, nice.
So they sent us out, and we were supposed to be civilian casualties or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And so I basically went to the field, and I just got to hang out, and we just sat around and smoked and ate MREs and just did whatever. And then they actually flew us to I can't remember what ship it was, but when they went on there, they started processing us, and
I can't tell you on 11th
They-
view.
they took our
It changes around, yeah.
They took our pictures and stuff, and they were like, so what is your role in the village? I said, well, I'm the chief of the village. and the lady's like, what? I can't. It's somebody in the Navy, and they were like, what? And I was like, oh, it's my village. I'm the chief. And they're like, okay, and they put VIP on my badge. Because we were on there for a couple days, and so you had to walk around with a badge on. And so mine said VIP, and they're like, what does yours say VIP? And I was like, I told them I was chief of the village.
Man.
I think I was a PFC at the time. So.
Did you break script? I take it, or
Oh.
were you supposed to be something specific?
No, we weren't supposed to be anything specific,
Oh,
just
okay.
regular village members. And I was just like, you know what? Let's see what I could get away with. And,
Like any other PFC, what can I get away with?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So it was that was pretty fun.
Impressive.
Good times. Yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Nobody busted me until now, but it's been long enough to where. And it's
Statute of limitations.
Yeah. It's
Right.
such a small crime to commit.
Oh, absolutely. So did you do anything else fun, Jordan?
Not much. I just did my normal guard duty during the spur rides. One time I got all the lower enlisteds hammered in the back of an LMTV. And
This sounds
that
interesting.
was one of the reasons why I lost rank there at the end.
Oh, did you roll it or something, or what?
No, it's just when top comes up and you've got 3-4 specialists and 2 PFCs hammered in the back of an LMTV, and he asks, well, wait a second, you guys are underage. Who gave you the alcohol? Joslyn did.
Now, of course they did. Of course they drop a dime on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They rolled over on you hard.
Oh, yeah. It was...
Yeah.
Snitches get stitches, man.
And also, shortly before that, dating the squadron commander's stepdaughter didn't help.
Oh man, you're just like, okay,
Yeah,
listen,
I was-
keep going here.
I was
Listen,
that
listen.
guy.
That's great.
Like they tell you on AFN, don't be that guy.
Right?
You're the safety brief guy.
There
Yeah,
have been,
pretty much.
and that's followed me into my other careers.
The
of
picture
there's-
pops up while you're giving the safety brief.
Yeah.
your annual training.
Yep.
Jordan's picture shows up right there in
Yeah.
the. Right after the sexual, like
The sharp
sexual
streaks and
diseases.
all that. Yeah.
The section.
The sexual diseases. Then right after that, then
Yeah.
then
Yeah, we're giving the Sharps brief and having a PFC put a mop head on to play a female.
oh yeah, some of the stuff's
Yeah.
just cringeworthy stuff. It's
Yeah.
actually. I can honestly say though that we can honestly say that's a true story on some of this stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they will do some crazy stuff just to get a point across.
When I was overseas, we got the Don't Ask, Don't Tell brief repealing, and it was given by one of the most just straightforward people. He walks in, slams the paper down, looks at us. You can do what you want now. Get out of here.
Wow.
Wow. All right.
Okay. Like.
Was he talking to you directly, or was he?
It was a one-on-one meeting.
No,
right? He's like,
yeah.
I'm sitting here you're sitting there by yourself, and he walks in and slams the book down.
No, it was just he was very just pissed off that he was the one having to give that brief.
It was kind of sometimes people get put on the spot.
Yeah.
So understandable. So what do you do? So you're a guard. You obviously do stuff on the side. What do you do for work?
So at the time when I first initially was coming home from deployment, I started working for Boise State at the students' call center, calling on behalf of Boise State to solicit donations.
I probably hung up on you a few times.
Yes, there have been a lot of hang-ups. But then after that, I then started working for Delta Airlines as a ramp agent while going to Boise State full time.
That's
Nice.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it was nice up until full-time school, full-time job, and then the guard duty once a month, 2 weeks in the summer, got to where I was like, you know what, I'm done with school, drop out, focus on just work only.
Yeah. Yeah, I worked on I worked for UPS.
Okay.
And I worked on the MD-11 as the supervisor, and that's working on planes it's so much fun. It's such a great time.
Oh yeah.
Especially because I was a supervisor, I would go and talk to the pilots and stuff, and the first time I walked in there, I was like, "Whoa, what are all these buttons doing?" I'm like, "You've never been in here before?" I was like, "I'm brand new. Like, you want to sit in my seat?" Absolutely.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So I don't do a lot of selfies and stuff, but I've got one in the pilot seat.
Nice.
Just because, I mean, it's a multi-million
I
dollar
think
plane.
one of these videos you'll have to put that up.
Yeah, we'll see.
FFA
Right.
investigating.
Yeah. Well, I didn't steal the plane.
Right. Close to.
Yeah. If I could figure out how to fly it, I'd probably. You know what? Anyways,
Right.
So are you currently still active?
No, I got out in October 14th, 2014.
Mm-hmm.
It was a honorable discharge. I was just done. They were done. They were like, okay, here, just get out.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a lot of stuff that was happening that time. So.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So then you went from Delta Airlines. You still with Delta?
No. Shortly before I was discharged, I then switched from working for Delta Airlines for the Idaho Department of Correction.
Oh, awesome. And that's what you currently do now?
Yes. I've been doing it for 7 years, 2 months.
Oh, and how? I know there's probably a lot of similarities between the corrections and the military. What are some that you find more often than not?
Well, so I have to say the biggest similarity is it's like reception. I'm not sure what they call it for the Marines, whether it's reception, RDU, or whatever. But in the Department of Corrections, even though you're dealing with 18 to 80-year-old men who have been doing 1 year to 20 years, they should know what they're doing, you come in and they act like that you've never told them how to breathe.
Yeah.
You need to tell them how to tie their shoes and all this other stuff. And you feel like how you expected the drill sergeants or drill instructors for the Marines felt of just, you understood why they were so angry all the time. And then working the hours we do, with the amount of overtime we see, why they were constantly chugging Monster, why they were constantly just drinking coffee and just angry as all get out.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, how was being in the Army kind of
helped you with
with being in a corrections officer?
Well, it's helped with knowing your physical conditioning, knowing you can get hit in the face, things can go sideways, and you're up shit creek without a paddle.
Yeah.
It prepares you for that, and then also just the normal camaraderie, having to have that language of, no fuck you, okay, see you tomorrow.
Right.
And it'll depend on the inmate and the officer, and technically yes, we're supposed to be using professional communications and all that other PR stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to it, some of these guys have never experienced pro-social communication. They've never experienced what it is to talk like normal people.
Yeah.
So your humor, your military experience of having to talk to people like that sometimes work. Being a deployed person, you'll sometimes understand that some of these people will only understand violence. They'll only understand this course of action. And once you get to that point, they're like, oh, okay, I'm good now.
Yeah.
We're up to that point, you were like, why does this guy not get it?
Yeah.
Would you think that the being military too, and I'm sure it's a very chaotic environment sometimes. You know, really stressful. That when things happen, there's break fights. Fights break out on the tiers or stuff that happens out there. Does that help you in terms of your being able to respond to that kind of stuff?
I would say yes, because for me, I've had a lot of supervisors say this. They're like, Joslyn, we love you in an emergency. You're hitting all the benchmarks, what we need done. You're making sure people are doing it. But when it's not an emergency and people aren't doing radio traffic right, they're not doing all this other stuff, you're still in that mindset of like, dude, it's easy. Why are you not doing this?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, we've been trained this. Why are you not doing this?
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's go back to your military career for a minute.
Okay.
What are some cool? What's one of the? If you look back, what's the best moment you can think of while you were in?
Honestly, it's one of my crowning achievement moments. I was showing Rob my coin from it earlier. I'm in Iraq,
Mhm.
and for some reason I pissed off my platoon sergeant where he's like, Joslyn,
For some reason.
for some reason,
Yeah.
we need a fighting position, Doug.
Mhm.
This is Iraq. It's
Sounds like
2010. We have fortified emplacements already, but
Yeah.
Joslyn, we need a fighting emplacement, Doug.
Mhm.
2 Kevlars by 2 M16s with a grenade sump per Army regulation manual, etc., etc. I'm like, shit. Well, then to spite him, I'm like, you know what? I want to make this the best damn emplacement I can. So not only did I dig it per regulation, but I dug a walkway down into it, sank 4x4s all around it, had C-wire in front, camo netting over it, lined with sandbags,
Yeah.
and made it great. Well, in the course of me digging it, I'm bent over, I'm like 3-4 feet down as I'm getting all squared out. I see this person standing over me. I can't really see because the sun's behind him.
Sure.
And just in my frustration, I'm like, hey, fucker, if you're going to stand there, grab a shovel and help.
Yeah.
Like, grunts, shugs out his blouse and hops down and next to me. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. And I look over and I see salt and pepper hair.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's so weird. So I kind of stand up, act like I'm stretching my back and look over. And I see his ACU blouse with 3 stars. And I'm like,
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like,
like pucker, start trying to stutter out, sir, I'm sorry for, he's like, no, if you're doing work and someone's standing over, yeah. Pulls out his coin, coins right there and walks away, and I'm like,
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's
What
actually a
just
pretty cool
happened?
story. You didn't piss that guy off. You just pissed the guy off before that.
No, and my first sergeant, or my platoon sergeant, when he saw that, was like, you got Mulholland's coin?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Should I salt him? Like, hey, finish digging my fighting hole.
That's pretty awesome.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is pretty awesome.
Those are those
Yeah.
once in a lifetime stories, you know.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff you like, you know, the crowning achievement type
Oh, yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we normally try to hit the second part of this question too. So
Sure.
whenever
Okay.
we have someone in, the second part of the question is since your best day. That was a really good story, by the way. What is the worst thing that you can think of of your worst day?
Oh, worst day.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be one. But
Well, no,
it's like
I'm just trying to think of one that's particularly stood out. I mean, we have a lot of those days, as you guys know, of just like,
Mhm.
it's just terrible.
Yeah.
Have to say, just always out when we seem to go out to FTX for annual trainings and whatnot, being out in the Orchard Combat Training Center south of Boise, it just gets cold as shit.
Oh yeah.
And waking up and trying to like stand there and be warm without putting your hands in your pockets, because then you got some first sergeant, sergeant major walk by, hands out of your pockets, private.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he uses that in his off time.
But
He's on the way over here. Hands out of your hands out of your pocket.
But no, it's
right.
just like
I
just
gotta get
being
it. I gotta nail
completely cold,
Yeah.
and that just bitter miserableness
Oh yeah.
that embrace the suck definitely defines.
Yeah.
Well, and especially when you're in the States and you have to basically live like you're in a third world country. Like,
Oh yeah.
oh, how shitty is that? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see McDonald's or a Starbucks or something from where I'm at, but yet I'm here caked in mud, freezing my ass off, wet, always wet, either from sweat or from the elements, and I've got a stomach full of MREs.
Oh, God.
Like, this is miserable. Why am I living like I'm in a third world country?
Right.
Now, that was the nice thing about me being with my supply unit. I always had pogie bait.
Oh, yeah.
I made sure I always had pogie bait.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't have that out in the field, I mean, that just became like a common thing when you went out to the field. You had to have your stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know,
definitely.
beef jerky or, you know.
Yeah.
That, or you'd buy a pack of cigarettes or a carton of cigarettes or a log of tobacco, even if you didn't smoke or chew. But you wait till those guys that were out in the field that were jonesing, and you're like, I got some.
Yeah.
And have that 50% markup.
Yeah, I have to admit I did the same thing. I used to sell that like, yeah, some people, I know some dippers that are going to be needing this pretty
Yeah.
soon.
It was great because when we'd always go out in the field and we're doing chow, so when people would come by and complain like, I'm out of cigarettes, I'm out of this, I'm out, what's up, man? And then
We get the Class A lot too,
Yeah,
of all places.
Oh yeah, I was the Class A lot too when I was in
We
Iraq.
used to like Kool-Aid. Maybe we'll throw that in with it.
Bro, you would not be you would be surprised on the stuff that you could be like, hey, when was the last time you had a fresh steak?
Right?
Like,
Oh, I bet.
you know,
Well, that
the
and
stuff you
so
would get.
I actually just really flashed back on one of my amazingly worst moments. We're out in the OCTC, and they messed up bacon for breakfast. It was
Oh.
like rubbery, was not fully cooked. It was just terrible.
That's punishment for stealing in some countries. That's bad right there. Yeah, you can't.
It's hard to mess up bacon.
It is pretty hard, bro. Yeah,
Yeah.
mess up bacon.
It is.
I mean, especially when you talk about one of our culinary experts here. You know, he's like,
I mean,
mess up bacon.
I can think off the top of my head at least 3 or 4 reasons why it didn't turn out well, and it's all like mechanical issues.
Right.
But if it's just because somebody's a shitty cook, y'all should beat the fuck out of
Right,
them.
Right.
Like-
Well, that vat stuff isn't always the best either. I mean, when you have your vat and you can
Yeah.
kind of keep it in there, keeps all that like condensation.
But still,
in it.
but it's warm, and
Right.
and if they're doing it right, it should have some flavor.
Right.
But if you just have somebody because, I mean, when you're in the field for 25, 30 days, that's the only cooked meal you get. You eat MREs for the rest of the time.
Oh yeah.
And so if you mess up the one meal that everybody's like waits for,
Right.
yeah, they should take you behind the woodshed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, that should happen.
Unless there's a mechanical issue, but even at that point, I mean, I've been in the field before, and we had the converter for the Humvee go out, which is how you power a lot of that stuff. So we just made a fire,
Oh yeah.
and we'll get a pan and cook it on there. You know, like
Yep.
because when you've got 300, like we did a lot of stuff with the infantry. Every time they would go out, we'd go out, and
Right.
most of the time we'd eat chow, and they'd be like, "You want to come with us?" And we'd be like, "Yeah," and then like 7, 8 miles into, we're like, "No, this was retarded. Why
Why did I do this?
Why did I volunteer for this?" No.
That's funny.
But then, so what we would do is, you know, we just improvise,
Right.
and because even how shitty we are when we were cooking, there was still like those guys have a shittier like
Yeah.
because
absolutely.
we're hanging out here cooking. We might go out and do a little bit of stuff with them, but like when it comes down to it, you know, like my feet don't hurt, like my back does. Well, my back always hurts, but
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt as bad right now because I wasn't, you know, lumping my day pack around for
Right.
you know the last 11 hours. So
God, I miss those days.
we so having chow not be at least semi up to par,
Right.
very very unforgivable.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I mean that, and that's your primary goal in life was when you were
Yeah.
that was part of your your whole thing.
Well, any job, and it's harder for some jobs to be able to do it, but any job, you should try to do your best and try to make that job, whatever you're doing, matter to who it matters to.
Right.
And if you're a cook,
Yep.
that your job is to make good-ish food.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And if you can't even accomplish that, what you're doing, like with fuel, if vehicles start running out of gas because you dropped the ball, like,
Yeah.
Right.
you know what I mean? Like there should never be an issue where we're like, oh, we're out of gas, you know, like.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, you guys like, hey, there's people who need to be unalived and you haven't unalived them yet, you know, like, go do your job.
Yeah, we don't get respawns, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
no, I got
you're trying to go unalive people.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you don't do your job,
Right.
it feels shitty. I mean,
oh,
that's,
absolutely.
so,
So one other thing too, I've known, I didn't want to admit this, but yeah, I do know Jordan.
You don't want to.
You're on another team though, right?
Yes.
Besides, like, so he's not just a CEO. This guy's like a triple threat.
Hmm.
So what other team are you on?
So I'm on the correctional fire team for the Idaho Department of Corrections South Boise Complex, which we go through a 12-day academy, become a certified firefighter for our department, then go online to Idaho State University and do their online firefighter class. And after that, you take your practical and written, become a fully certified firefighter for the state of Idaho.
Wow.
So pretty cool, huh? Yeah. So I just
Yeah.
remembered that. I was like, oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
definitely.
Yeah, he's also a firefighter.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yep.
So what do you like? Do you have downtime?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Single, no kids, so I have a lot of downtime
Oh.
outside of work.
Ladies, that means he's looking.
That's right. That's right. Always available. We'll put that.
Yeah.
We'll put that link later
Yeah.
on.
You can message us for his details, and we'll get it out there for you.
Him message it. I don't want.
Oh, I mean-
I don't want any phone calls in the middle of the night.
No, I'm talking about for the channel.
Oh, okay.
I'm
yeah.
not giving out my personal information. Absolutely not. It's not a.
Oh, I know. I'm just messing with you, man.
Oh,
I'm
boy.
trying to
Yeah.
put that off on you. You
Yeah.
know, just to
Uh-huh.
help you out a little bit.
Anyways, so moving on. So how is it? Okay, so there's lots to talk. So how is it with being like a firefighter? Like, how does that work into your schedule?
So we train once a month, and then during the summer we'll have our academy, and then sometime throughout the rest of the year there will be our Wildland Academy, which means we're certified wildland firefighters also on top of structure and hazmat like we do. So it can be anywhere from just doing the once a month training. If we don't have any fires, I'll do 12 trainings and then the academy on top of it,
Yeah.
to, hey, we've had 5 activations of the wildland fire throughout the year.
Mhm.
So you have your 12 trainings, your academy, and the activations that we go on.
Wow. So now, how does that like? I mean, have you ever had to do a shift at the prison and then go and fight fires?
No.
No, it's either
Thankfully-
one or the other.
Thankfully not. So
Okay.
if you were activated for the team during your shift, it's throughout your shift and then come back. If it's after your shift, you do it and then you go home.
Okay.
If it's before your shift, it's dependent upon how long that fire took place. If the fire's still going while your shift starts, you're out doing that. That's your responsibility.
Sure.
And if you get done, you then finish out the rest of your shift. Or it's like, hey, go home, dude. You're toasted.
You stink.
It's good for overtime, though.
Yes,
Right?
yes, it
Oh
is.
yeah, I bet it was.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hey, so you know that thing? Let's talk about that bike outside, man. It's beautiful Indian motorcycle sitting
Yeah.
outside my house.
Yeah. I ride a 2018 Indian Scout.
No wife,
I'm-
no kids.
Yeah. I have all the toys.
Yeah.
Right.
But and then I normally will do one trip by myself throughout the year. So in 2018, I bought my bike. In 2019, I did a trip from Boise to Vegas, Vegas to Southern Cali, up to Reno, back to Boise.
Yeah.
And then this year, I did from Boise to Vegas, Vegas to the south side of San Diego, up the coast, through Visalia, up through to Eugene, Portland, back to Boise. And then this past August, went to Sturgis.
Wow, nice.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and you do stuff with the other veterans groups, right? Right.
Yes,
Right?
so Ride for 22, I'm sure you guys are familiar with them.
Yeah.
I will go to their events and support all our veterans, whether it's just supporting our veterans at the Veterans Home. The state POW MIA, we did a bike show for them last year
Mhm.
and attended that. And then this year I've attended one of the Ride for 22 events where we were able to raise money for veteran suicide awareness and just suicide awareness in general.
Right.
Well, that's pretty
Good for
crazy.
you. Good job, man. Yeah, we appreciate that. That's obviously good. Yeah, I try to do the same thing. I help out with the Ride for 22 also, and some of the other events. I don't ride, but
Yeah, I used to.
I'm an Indian.
I tried to get a bike, and then my truck's tranny blew. So then I was actually on my way to pick up a bike, and my tranny blew. And then so I was like,
That's right.
I was in California, so I was stuck there, and I was like, I gotta spend all this money that I save up for a bike to
Yeah.
buy a new truck. So I
That sucks.
bought a new truck. Yeah. So I'm saving again. So
That's his low point.
maybe in 2022 I'll have a bike.
All right.
Well,
Get out a little bit.
Just, shameless plug, Indian does do very well for its veterans discounts.
Yeah, well, I mean, depending on how much of a discount, wife and kids, so.
Yeah.
You're looking
Depending
at how
Yeah.
he's back over here.
How the other percent lives.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, but, that's pretty awesome. Do you do any other events or anything like that?
With the Indian Motorcycle Riders Group, Boise chapter, we'll be approached for, hey, we're gonna go up to Garden Valley and do a bike show, car show, and all proceeds go to the local Boys and Girls Club.
Awesome.
We'll do other events where we'll just try and do any type of fundraising. I think last year they did a fundraiser for the wild horses here in Idaho.
Nice.
And on the 24th of this month at our dealership, we are doing a Teddy Bears for First Responders fundraiser. Some first responders, law enforcement, fire will carry teddy bears on their vehicles when they come to a scene. So if the event of there's a child involved, whether it's domestic violence or just fire or whatnot,
Yeah.
they can try and give that teddy bear that will lessen the trauma for that child.
That's awesome. And which dealership is this?
This is Indy Motorcycle Boise. It's in
Boise.
Meridian, right next to the High Desert Harley dealership.
Well, there's a plug right there.
Yeah, if anybody's out there and they want to support, go out there. You said the
24th.
24th. So I mean, if you want to support, go check it out.
Yep, yep.
Awesome. And then
Fantastic.
we talked earlier. You do a blog?
I do a motovlog, yes. It's kind of slow right now because content-wise, I start to film, and then I'll just get so self-conscious over some of the stuff. I'm like, nope, delete. No, delete. I'm not even gonna do it. Never mind.
Yeah.
But I do a lot of my work on Instagram and Facebook, doing pictures. I'll do a slight story, do my 36 hashtags that Instagram or Facebook allows me to have.
Yeah.
I'm all about supporting other riders, supporting any type of very pro-social good, any type of pro-social good words, hard.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
I think he's referring to Veterans OP.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's referring to.
Right.
But I'll do a lot of
Shameless
stuff
plug.
trying
Yeah,
to shameless
always.
plug for whether it's bikers supporting bikers, my friends that are leaders, which are all about women riders being
Yeah.
strong independent women.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Did you want to put your plug out for your?
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, I'm JoJo the CO.
Okay.
Yeah, it's terrible.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Did you know though it's easy for people to remember though?
Yeah.
That's actually not a
It's
bad
catchy.
thing.
I actually got
It's pretty catchy.
I got the inspiration from Dan the Fireman or Dan the Fireman and Firefighter Fenton.
Okay.
Dan the Fireman's very much about riders supporting riders, motorcycle safety, men's health awareness, and then Firefighter Fenton, he's a comedian, he's a firefighter, he's all about just having a good life, living the best life you can, and yeah, they're the ones that inspired me, and I'm like, well, they got the alliteration, let's go with JoJo the CO.
All right, makes sense, dude. I don't think it's a bad thing, and I think it's kind of cool that you can actually put something out there that people are. That's an easy one to remember.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Now, do you have before we kind of wrap this up? Do you have any interesting stories from either the prison or fighting fires that you can just want to share?
Anything you just want to
There's
share.
so many stories. There's so many stories.
Oh, favorite one. Do you have a favorite one?
Yeah, your favorite one.
Favorite one. One of my crowning achievements, I was nicknamed McGruff the Crime Dog for this amongst my inmates. I was the medical officer at my facility at the time, and this guy came down under suspicion of having narcotics on his person. He was on defecation watch, is what we call it, where they might have swallowed it, and so he's standing there and he's doing the meth dance. You can tell he's on something.
Yeah.
And he comes up to the window, hey man, I need toilet paper. I'm like, oh, give him some toilet paper, go back to my desk and, on his window again. Hey man, I need more toilet paper. I'm like, okay, you might, okay, here's a little more toilet paper.
Yeah.
Go back to my desk and seconds later, man, I need more toilet paper. And I'm like, you shouldn't need that much. So I start I'm like, no, you're good for now. He goes back to his cell, and I start leaning over, looking into his window as I see him dancing next to his toilet, looking around, look down at the toilet, look around, then starts reaching in, finally comes up with this little red balloon. Immediately my effective communication kicked in, ran up, kicked the door, get me right fucking now!
Yeah.
Open the utility port, he sets it on the utility port, and is kind of leaning back all scared, and I tell him to flick it off, he backhands it, drops to the floor, close the port, and as soon as it hit the ground, all of my companions, because during this area where we do defecation watch is also suicide watch,
Yeah.
all the companion inmates jump up with their hands and they're like, it's not mine, it's not mine.
Yeah.
You're all
I
going down.
I immediately throw on a glove. I throw on a glove and
I'm glad you put gloves on.
snatched it up off the ground. And it was immediately at that moment I'm like, chain of custody, I have to hold on to this till we're done with it now.
Physically hold it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then call over the radio to the assistant shift commander, hey, inmate so-and-so has produced an item. What has he produced? A red balloon. Oh, copy, run away!
Yeah.
So it went from there to where we went up to investigations, they tested it, and after all of our testing, it turned out to be 2 grams of meth.
Wow.
Nice.
So it was significant drug confiscation.
Especially in prison.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's crazy. Yeah,
Get
that's
that
pretty
in there.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think my My favorite part of it was my effective communication.
Like it was 4, but it went down to 2.
Yeah.
No, I'm just messing with you, man. No, that's actually a pretty good story. I've never actually heard of anything like that.
Oh yeah, that was
Actually being that effective.
that was way before I think we met.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, that was way before I
All
met.
right, very well.
That's awesome.
Good job on that one then. Yeah, because I'm about to say I don't think I've ever heard of an effective one like that. So,
Yeah.
awesome story, dude.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you had a pretty good career. So you were obviously you worked for the law enforcement for like 7 years, you said.
Yep, 7 years, 2
And
months.
then you were in for 4.
I was in for 5 years, 6
5.
months, 23 days total time service for the Army
Oh,
National
yeah.
Guard.
So, the
Not
hours.
that I was counting.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, you almost had that down.
Yeah. That's great.
6 minutes, 53 seconds.
Yeah.
So no, that cool. That sounds like you had a pretty good career though.
Yep, and I'm looking forward to what the next decade will bring, for whether it's continued service with the Idaho Department of Correction or possibly, because in January I hope to go through EMS school with my GI Bill benefits, start doing that side of the house, so possibly go to full-time fire department instead of corrections.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we wish you luck. Hopefully that
Definitely. Yeah.
this one, if you see his video out there and you know you might help Jordan get to that point, you know, you can definitely hit us up on our YouTube channel.
It's VOP, Veterans OP on YouTube. We also have a Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/VOP Gaming that we try to stream on a regular basis. But it's hard with this podcast and other stuff.
Right.
So it's kind of sporadic, so be patient.
Yep. I mean, most of our content is this, so
Yeah.
hopefully we're
absolutely.
benefiting our veterans out there, and like for example, like Jordan here, and hopefully we get his story and everybody else's out there that we can on these channels.
Yeah, definitely. And if, say it all the time, if you know another veteran or a veteran business, feel free to share this, send them our way so, they can be the next person in this chair, or, we can go to their business and show how they are succeeding with their personal goals,
Right. And of course, unfortunately, we're kind of local. We're in the Idaho area, so
Yeah.
anything out of state at this point, not really. Maybe if this takes off, we can go national with this, but
Yeah.
it's got to take off first. Right now, we're just going to stick to Idaho.
Yeah, we might, if we're ever in another area, and it's, not convenient, but we can schedule something, but, we're not traveling to Kansas, shout out to Kansas,
Right.
Fort Riley.
for a,
Right. Exactly. Right.
I don't know, it was the first thing that came to my head. We're not gonna travel there just to do
Right.
one
Just
interview.
do it right now. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
I would say if this ever took off, maybe,
Yeah, definitely.
but it's got to take off first. So we just want to make sure we take care of all our Idahoans out there right now.
Yeah, definitely. So,
So-
so we appreciate you being here.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me.
And, we'll see you guys in the next one.
All right, Jordan.